Calls for transparency over the missing Malaysian jetliner have come from all over, but the investigation has only grown foggier. And while many are asking how did it happen and who's responsible, the more urgent question is, where is the plane and its passengers? Adrian Arsenault now on the mysterious case of Flight MH370.
March 7th, thanks to an early morning rain, the steamy heat of Kuala Lumpur was a little less oppressive. It was a hazy 31 degrees. A new city for 50-year-old American Philip Wood, about to begin a new life with his girlfriend. He'd bought a last-minute ticket to go help her pack up their place in Beijing. Busy man, but a bit confused that day. He thought the flight was the next night. At home in Beijing, an excited Sarah Bajic caught the mistake and set her boyfriend straight. So he texted her.
Wow, crazy. So busy, didn't even realize. Tonight? Would have missed my flight.
Go rush, love.
He did, as you do. Plans were shifting too for a group of 24 Chinese artists who'd been in Kuala Lumpur for days, promoting relations between the two countries. They'd been stuck inside at their exhibit in this hall, but the break in heat sent them all outside for a last-minute tour, and for this, a huge celebratory lunch. Duck soup, steamed fish, braised pork.
Hi everyone, this is a YouTube video that I made.
It's also believed, a day of much rushing for Zahari Ahmed Shah.
This video is to be used.
MH370's deeply experienced pilot, the man who built his own flight simulator, who fancied himself a home repairs expert and teacher.
But this is the cheapest solution that you can.
Also, a supporter of opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim. Shah is thought to have attended Ibrahim's court hearing that day, at which the leader was sent back to jail for sodomy. That can't have made him happy, but ever the professional, he knew he had a flight, was to be joined by a young, skilled, but less experienced co-pilot, Farik Ab Hamid. They didn't work together much, hadn't asked to be put together. But they were a team that night, there in the security check at the Kuala Lumpur airport. Can't read much of anything into this. It is a spectacular airport, huge, high-tech, pretty if that's possible. The artists had driven there especially early, were on their way to it by 8 p.m. This is the last photo of the group, just standing around, waiting to go home. Time to spare. The hurried Philip Wood probably wasn't as organized, but back in her Beijing neighborhood, his girlfriend was on a schedule. At 8:05 p.m. from home, she updates him.
All prepped except my clothes. Kitchen, bar, knickknacks, set out cleaned, ready to pack.
He may have been en route to the airport when he responded,
I'm ready to be there to help. Understand. Tomorrow I'll rub your back. Thank you for working so hard. You're greatly appreciated and loved.
Then, around midnight, as Philip Wood would have been settling into his seat, she answers.
Thank you, baby.
That is the last communication we know of to or from any of the passengers. The plane, 239 souls on board, but hardly full. 36 empty seats, including some belonging to those who missed their flight. At 12:41 a.m., 6 minutes late on that heavy, now humid night, MH370 took off for Beijing. Should have been so routine. There are 59 flights a week from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, just as many coming back. A busy, typical flight path. But what was about to happen to Malaysian Airlines that night is what's known in the world of crisis management as a black swan event, completely unpredictable, a huge impact and a shock that's hard to recover from if you don't handle it well. Well, all this time later, among the few details that are clear is that the handling of the disappearance of MH370 has not gone well. Families waiting in both Beijing and Kuala Lumpur want clarity, say they've been getting only confusion. From the outset, Malaysian authorities were slow to respond. It was the Chinese who first started talking publicly.
今天早上，我们得到了一个非常令人忧虑的消息，
They actually announced the disappearance. When Malaysian authorities finally stepped to the microphones, early statements were bizarre.
There has been speculations that the aircraft has landed in Nanning. We are working to verify the authenticity of the report and others.
And consider this description of the passengers using stolen passports.
It is confirmed now that they are not Asian-looking male. Do you know a footballer by the name of Bartoli? He's an Italian. Do you know how he looks like? Bartoli. 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 Balotelli.
This is Mario Balotelli, and these are the passengers in question. What was he talking about suggesting they look alike? Another misleading moment. More has been misleading than has been clear.
And as far as we are concerned, we are equally puzzled as well.
Agreed upon timelines for the first hour and a half are thin and have taken these 11 days to cobble together with leaks and sparse confirmations. Here goes. 1:07 a.m. The transponder sends back an automated message saying all's okay. 1:19 a.m. The co-pilot signs off with all right, good night, leaving Malaysian airspace. 1:21 a.m. The transponder stops working. We now know that at 1:28 a.m. Thai radar saw an unidentified blip along an unexpected westward track, but did nothing about it. It took 11 days for that news to emerge. Around the same time of morning, Vietnamese civil aviation see what they think was MH370 heading westward. Twice they contact the Malaysians. It takes days to hear anything back. 2:15 a.m. Malaysian military radar spots an unidentified blip here at Pulau Perak in the Strait of Malacca. Again, this took days to learn. So much wasted time. Yes, families threw water bottles at Malaysian officials. They've talked of suing, of going on hunger strikes, and every waking moment they wonder. The world is running scenarios. Here's one. If this was a plane in trouble, sort of smoke in the cockpit trouble, where could a pilot go? All are trained to know their exit routes. Here's a compilation of options that night. Some 634 runways with roughly 1,500 meters of landing strip, what a 777 would need. Problem is, start eliminating some for distance and difficulty, say mountains in the way, and options shrink. A theory of a Canadian pilot points right here to an airstrip on Pulau Langkawi on the west coast of Malaysia. It's where he says his gut tells him good pilots would go. It's also directly in line with the plane's strange westward turn. Chris Goodfellow accurately described it as a 3,900-meter landing strip with an approach over water at night, no obstacles. Simple, so smart, but the nearby waters have been reportedly searched. Nothing. Seems the plane just kept going. Where to and why, and how would we know? Ground and air radar are key. Watch this. First a map of the known civilian radar zones where the plane first went missing, and then military radar take over. These are what we believe to be the region's capabilities. It's vague because there are countries that want to keep secret military assets and information secret. The public may not be told what they have or saw. And yes, count that as a frustration for Malaysian officials.
I can confirm that we have received some radar data, but we are not at liberty to release information from other countries. I appeal to all our partners to continue volunteering any of and all information that could help us with the investigation and the search for MH370.
The Indians, by the way, have said they didn't see anything, and add that they may have turned off the radar in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands that weekend because they didn't think they'd need them. And no nation saw fit to scramble jets to intercept the plane, that supposed unidentified blip at least a few saw. Messy, this matter of a missing plane, especially in a region that is a geopolitical puzzle. 11 days and a search zone almost as big as Canada. 26 countries now part of the hunt because they have to be, because the last source of information on the plane is disturbingly vague. The view from space, that's where the information's coming from, not the space station, which took these images of the area a few months ago, but from a single satellite. An Inmarsat satellite, a geostationary one 36,000 kilometers up. Somehow, for several hours, it recorded a type of handshake from MH370, and it knows it's that plane, apparently, because every handshake is unique. Based on the angle of the signal and the distance from the Earth, Inmarsat believe the plane must have traveled along one of two specific lines, so evident on a map, so horrifyingly vast and vague back on Earth. You're always tricking us, lying to us, yell the families. Can you blame them for thinking that? Can you blame them either for deep down believing that every moment, every resource is scouring the planet? While it's true some nations are working exhaustively to search, there are also scenes like this.
As you can see, all of these aircraft are sitting on the ground.
A tarmac in Kuala Lumpur, and all those expensive, sophisticated search planes just sat there for part of this week, as the government of Indonesia had not yet issued permission to fly over its territory. And for their part, the Indians, the Thais, the Japanese, and the Indonesian ships and aircraft were idle all yesterday. The delay? Waiting for clear instructions from Malaysia. All as hazy as a Beijing morning. It's dawn when the Malaysian Airlines flight from Kuala Lumpur is scheduled to land there every day. Even that early, the airport is full. Was full on Saturday, March the 8th. Families waiting for MH370. They still wait, and really, they don't know much more than they did that first awful morning. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Toronto.